Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to another weather update, my friends. Glad to have y'all here for another one. So we got ourselves a pretty impactful winter storm that's getting ready to impact the Ohio Valley, portions here of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast here for this week. We got a lot of stuff to talk about as heavy snow and ice is expected out of this system. The Weather Service has already started issuing a bunch of warnings and advisories for a lot of these areas here, so we'll have to talk about that. So we'll be going over the overall snow accumulations, the timing, all kinds of things, everything you really need to know regarding the system here we'll talk about. But all right, my friends, well, before we go ahead and dive on into it, if you are new to the channel, please do me a favor, consider subscribing and leaving a like. It'd be greatly appreciated. And all right, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into it as we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Alrighty, so we're taking a look here at the current radar view across the country as of the morning here of the 18th, and we are seeing ourselves a bit of snow shower activity across portions here of the Northeast, portions here of the Ohio Valley moving into the Midwest. Now, a little bit of ice could be mixing in across areas in like southern Missouri, maybe eastern Arkansas. Seems like a possibility. Winter weather radar, I should say, is starting to pick up on that a little bit. Now, the main event's actually going to be right in here. We can already start to see a bit of snowfall across South Dakota, portions here of Nebraska. Now, this is all going to work its way down here to the southeast, and the big impacts is going to start here for tonight, as we are going to be looking out there for. Whenever it comes to timing here, we are going to be starting to see that snow work its way down here to the southeast here, starting to build into Iowa, kind of sometime around noon across these regions, northeastern Nebraska at the same time, southern Minnesota. But it's not really until the evening is whenever things really start to pick up across portions like the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. So right around the time, this is right around 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 Eastern, we'll start to get a lot of heavy snowfall falling across portions of Missouri. That'll actually start moving in kind of around 5, 6 o'clock p.m. Also southern Wisconsin here. But the really big stuff is not going to really start cranking here until pretty much late evening. I mean, we're talking basically 8, 9, 10 o'clock here. A lot of heavy snow will be falling tonight across portions here of Ohio, portions of kind of central northern Indiana, portions here of Michigan, southern Wisconsin, a lot of central northern Illinois as well. I'm kind of moving out of Iowa and out of portions of northeastern Missouri at this time. Now we approach our way into the early morning hours. We're talking right around 2 a.m. Central, 3 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to be seeing ourselves a lot of snowfall still falling across portions here of Ohio, a lot of heavy snowfall up in the mountains here of West Virginia. Actually seeing a bit of snow actually working its way out there towards areas like Pennsylvania. Overall, we have ourselves portions out there by Michigan, still seeing a bit of snowfall, a lot of snow shower potential out there by areas maybe as far down south as central Tennessee. We'll have to see that for, tomorrow morning here overall. And of course, some across portions here of Kentucky as well, some in, Illinois. And as we approach our way towards the sunrise here, so we're kind of talking right around 6, 7 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to be seeing a bit of that snow actually starting to roll into like Pennsylvania, portions out there by New York State, New Jersey even, Northern Virginia, portions here towards Maryland. And of course, this will be impacting the Northeast. Now, the snow will start to come out of Indiana here sometime for the morning of the 19th, coming out there kind of for some time in the afternoon, evening of the 19th for Ohio. It'll break up into a lot of snow showers for the evening of tomorrow. As you can see, there'll be a lot of heavy snow showers still, possibly some pretty nasty snow squalls happening across portions out there by like Ohio, possibly Pennsylvania. So a lot of, a couple more inches of quick accumulation could be a possibility out of these lines that we need to look out there for. And of course, at this time for the evening tomorrow, there is going to be a lot of heavy impacts here for the Northeast, including like New York City getting impacts from the snowfall, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. And overall, the storm system should be mostly out of the country by the morning of the 20th, although there still will be a little bit of lake effect snow still happening across portions like western Michigan, a little bit out there in Ohio, out there in the northeast side, picking up some pretty decent accumulations out there by areas here near like Cleveland overall. And of course, we work our way down further in time, and that's just going to be kind of a thing for the 20th, is a bunch of lake effect snow. So some areas could obviously pick up several more inches from that alone. Now, with the warnings and advisories that we have out there, they are covering a lot of area here, all the way from the Central Plains as far down south as Arkansas. We're going to talk about that here in a second of why these areas are in that. And there's actually another ice storm that we're going to be talking about as well. Another really big shot for ice from Texas going all the way up through the Midwest and possibly out there by the Great Lakes. But we'll talk about that here more in a minute. Now, anyways, a lot of winter weather advisories across a lot of the purple regions here. This is basically saying that there is some impacts of winter weather expected. There could be some closures. There could be some, obviously, some rough road conditions in some of these regions here overall. Now, those are for northeast Nebraska, a lot of South Dakota, southwestern North Dakota, working pretty much through the entire state of Iowa, except for a lot of the northeastern portion here, through portions of central northern Illinois, a little bit of counties here in southern Wisconsin as well included here overall, and through Indiana. And look at this, it really builds up across like Kentucky, even Tennessee. Once again, most of Tennessee is under a winter weather advisory, except for some of the south central side of the state here. Northern Georgia's got a couple here. Western North Carolina's got a couple winter weather advisories. Northern Mississippi, Arkansas, that's actually because of ice. We'll talk more about that, like I said, here in a minute overall. Then you notice how we have a lot of pink here. Now, these are actually winter storm warnings. Winter storm warnings are much worse than winter weather advisories. These are the regions that we're going to see some of the heaviest impacts of winter weather here. So that being northwestern portions of Indiana, portions out there by southeastern Ohio, areas out there by West Virginia. Northern Ohio, like I said, out there by Cleveland has a lot of winter storm warnings. For example, out there near Cleveland, we have the possibility to accumulate nearly 5 to 9 inches of snowfall. We'll get more into the snowfall map of accumulations here in a moment, but I just wanted to point that out. It's actually pretty crazy. Same thing for the upper elevations of like West Virginia, 4 to 8 inches in some areas, maybe locally higher could be a possibility overall. Also, the winter weather advisories, the areas in purple, do work their way as far east as of now as portions like New Jersey. We have some out there towards like Pennsylvania, obviously we mentioned here as well. Even Delaware included with a couple of those winter weather advisories. Now, I do expect those to continue to be pushing to the northeast. Obviously, like I said, we're going to have some impacts of winter weather across the northeast, out there by like Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, some of those regions. So I'm pretty sure that some of those regions is going to be picking up on some of those winter weather advisories. I don't think winter storm warnings would be needed for these areas, but I do think a lot of advisories would be needed for some of those areas up in the northeast. Okay, so the next thing I want to take a look at here, this is the Winter Severity Index. Now, this is basically a scale level of severe potential, kind of similar how we have the convective outlooks for severe thunderstorms. There's a scale from 1 to 5, pretty similar in this case here. So, across areas here of the yellow, this is a minor impacts area. This is where we could have some impacts to road conditions. The specifics for it says winter driving conditions, use caution while driving. Should mostly be fine. They're obviously look out for some slick spots and all kinds of stuff like that. But once we work our way up here towards these orange areas, including like portions of like northeastern Ohio, portions of western New York, out there by like Buffalo, some areas north of Syracuse as well. We have northwestern Indiana. I don't know if I already mentioned West Virginia as well. So we have a lot of moderate impacts regarding winter weather. Now, across the orange areas here, hazardous driving conditions, use extra caution while driving, closures and disruptions to infrastructure may occur. So obviously there could be a lot of closures because of bad road conditions and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you are across these orange areas, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of things close around you because of the heavy impacts of winter weather. Now, there is a few small areas that has the level 4, which is a major impacts zone. In this area across, like northwestern Indiana, we have one across, like I said, Buffalo, areas north of Syracuse is another one. We have a little itty-bitty localized area here in eastern portions of West Virginia here, up in those upper elevations. Now, the major impact zone means dangerous or impossible driving conditions. Avoid travel if possible. Widespread closures and disruption to infrastructure may occur. So obviously, across the red, it's almost certain that things are going to be closing around you in those regions because of heavy winter impacts overall. Alrighty, so now we're moving on into the accumulations and stuff like that, which you guys are really curious about overall. So we are actually expecting a pretty good amount of snowfall. Now, we're going to start off where the snow is starting from. We got ourselves places out there by South Dakota, throughout the central side, expecting basically 1 to 3 inches, locally up to 4 in some areas possible. Same thing could apply to portions like northeastern areas of Nebraska overall. Central Iowa, maybe 1, 2, 3 inches. Some areas could be possible, but the accumulations really pick up once we work our way into areas such as like Ohio, Indiana, even northeastern Illinois. Now, once again, by Chicago, we could be picking up a decent amount of snowfall. We're talking about maybe 6-7 inches. Locally higher in some areas is a possibility. So overall, Chicago, mostly towards the closer towards the lake, we'll see mostly the heaviest accumulations out there in Chicago. But overall, pretty good impacts. Now, northwestern Indiana, where we did have those major, quote-unquote, major risks from that winter severity index we were looking at there for a minute. So we are seeing possibilities of maybe up to a foot in some areas, maybe locally a little higher. Up out there towards areas near like South Bend, a little bit to the west by Michigan City. We have Westville, let's see, Walkerton, Plymouth, Knox. So a lot of those regions there is in some pretty good potential. Remember, this is the expected amount of snowfall overall, so it could range a little heavier if things play out that way. Now, out there by portions like Indianapolis, we were talking about 2 inches or so, 1 to 3 inch range is what I would go off of. Locally up to 4 as well, being possible. Fort Wayne area here, we're expecting nearly 4 inches of snowfall, so pretty good amount out there. I would range more like 3 to 5 being a possibility. Detroit, Michigan, honestly could see nearly a half a foot being possible. Locally, I'd say up to 6 or 7 is a possibility here. So look out there for that. Not a whole lot for northern areas of Michigan. As you can see, there's a pretty low divot here with the snow accumulations getting only down to a couple tenths of an inch up in the northern side. But for the western side, we're going to be seeing a lot of lake effect snow with this storm system out there. And like I said, also Detroit, like we mentioned here a minute ago, how we are going to be seeing a decent amount. Now, back over here towards Ohio. Now, Cincinnati, we're talking about 2 inches of snowfall still expected. I remember this being exactly the same here yesterday, so that's good news, showing that there is a bit of confidence here. So we're talking about 2 inches out there by Cincinnati. Columbus, a little more, maybe around 3 inches. I'd say about 2 to 4 inches with locally higher amounts up to 5 possible. And then we work our way out there by areas near like Cleveland. Now, Cleveland does get to be a pretty decent amount of accumulations out there. We're talking maybe 8-9 inches, some locally higher, maybe up to 10, 11 could theoretically happen up there in some of those regions because of lake effect. So overall, pretty good amount out there. Now we work our way down to Kentucky here. And with Kentucky going on, we have ourselves, Louisville area, probably maybe 1-2 inches max that we could pick up out there. Lexington, maybe 2 inches. It's really eastern Kentucky that's going to see kind of the heaviest amount of accumulations across some of these regions here overall. Portions here out there by Tennessee up in the northeastern side could possibly pick up maybe an inch, maybe inch and a half locally in some of those regions. But look at this. Out there by areas in eastern Tennessee, out there by basically western North Carolina, up in the upper elevations, Asheville could see maybe a couple tenths of an inch. But look at this. North of Asheville, right near the state line of Tennessee and North Carolina on the northern border, we possibly could see maybe 3, 4, locally 5 inches possible. Pretty good amount of snowfall for some of those regions. Southwest Virginia could pick up maybe around 2-4 inches or so in some areas here overall, so not too bad. Northern Virginia speaking, we are talking about an inch, maybe up to 2 inches in some of these regions. DC, kind of the same thing. Maryland here, most of Maryland, especially the northern side, could pick up about 2 inches, maybe localized to 3 being possible. Now, West Virginia, look at this. Now, West Virginia is talking some pretty heavy snow accumulations up there, especially in the upper elevations. We could get theoretically near a foot up in some of those upper elevations there. Beckley, West Virginia could see right around 5 inches or so. I'd say about 4 to 6 inches possible. Charleston, we're talking about 4 inches. I'd say about 3 to 5 possible across those regions out there. Morgantown, about 6 inches. So about 5 to 7 inches is a possibility out in some of those regions over there. Now we work our way up here towards portions out there by like Pennsylvania. Now we have areas like Pittsburgh. We're talking about 4 inches, so about 3 to 5 inches I would range for that region. A lot of western sides of Pennsylvania is going to be seeing the heaviest amount of accumulations out of Pennsylvania in general. Now more of the central eastern side, we're talking about maybe 2-3 inches. I'd say about 2 to 4 inches for a lot of central eastern portions here of Pennsylvania being a possibility. But look at this. Then we work our way up into New York. Now this is where we're actually seeing some of the craziest snow accumulations. Buffalo could easily see over a foot of snow, adding to the several feet they already have. They have tons and tons of snowfall already here. Portions out there by Syracuse could maybe see about 4, maybe 5 inches. Locally could be a possibility. Now look at this. Now north of Syracuse that we've been watching out there by Watertown, we are talking nearly 2 feet of snow possible due to lake effect snow, due to a lot of cool air rolling right over the Great Lakes and allowing for basically a endless supply of snowfall to end up across some of these regions here, leading up to about 2 foot potential. Remember, that's expected amounts. Worst case scenario could bring it up a little more. Obviously, this is not the maximum amount of snow we could possibly see. It could be a little higher, so keep that one in mind out there. Now, we work our way out there by like New York City. I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering about that. About 2-3 inches expected. I would honestly say about 2 to 4 is a possibility out there by New York City. Same thing for portions like most of Long Island. We're expecting about 2-3 inches, locally up to 4 possible. It starts to drop off here for Connecticut, about 1 to 3 inches expected. Portions out there by like Rhode Island, about 2 inches overall, maybe locally up to 3 possible. Then it really starts to drop off from Massachusetts, about maybe up to 1, maybe 2 inches, locally up to 3 possible. And of course, the snow kind of dies out across like portions of Maine. Not a whole lot expected for Maine in general, so Maine's going to be mostly clear from this here. Same thing for New Hampshire as well. Really not a whole lot going on for this region here. Same thing for portions out there by like Vermont. I mean, we could see maybe up to 1 inch, 2 max, I think could be a possibility. But overall, that is the expected accumulations. Also, I do want to mention portions of the upper state of Michigan here. We possibly could be seeing some areas here well over a half a foot, possibly like 6 to 10 inches across some of these regions up here. So a really good amount of snowfall could be expected due to lake effect across these regions out there as well. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and work our way over here to the next storm system here for the 22nd, as we could have some serious ice problems. Now, this one has definitely got me a little concerned overall. So we're taking a look at the GFS model regarding ice accumulations. Like I said, we're going to start to see some ice pile up here for the 22nd into the 23rd, and for the 24th, it should be mostly gone, but there is a lot of potential for some heavy ice accumulations out there by portions like north central Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, portions of Missouri, Illinois, possibly, according to this model, could see maybe upwards of around 2-3 of an inch being a possibility. Indiana, Ohio, portions of Michigan, maybe even up there towards like Pennsylvania and New York could get some ice. Now, this is one model, but this model has been talking about this for the last while now. It's been talking about this for well over 2 days at this point, which is definitely a little concerning. Now, whenever comparing this with the European model, the ECMWF overall, this model also agrees in the fact that we could see a pretty significant ice storm here. Once again, for the 22nd to the 24th overall, with some of the heaviest accumulations still being a little unknown, but this model has the heaviest out there by areas of Missouri, possibly getting a little more severe regarding the ice, maybe upwards of 3-4 of an inch out there could be a possibility. This one's mostly for Oklahoma, obviously Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and some of those same areas that we were just talking about with the GFS model overall. So it definitely could be very, very impactful. So we have one more model I want to look at. This is the GDPS, which is the Canadian model. And yeah, this model shows it as well. So all 3 models we looked at are showing a significant ice storm happening. This model is actually pretty crazy and actually showing about 1/2 inch of ice expected, possibly out there by like Oklahoma. Really picks up there in Illinois. It really seems like between Oklahoma and Illinois will probably be the heaviest accumulations of ice overall. So I just want to go ahead and bring this to you guys' attention because it's something that could take the headlines for the next storm system overall. This thing could seriously have some big problems. Alrighty, everybody, so the last thing I do want to go ahead and talk about here is another Arctic blast to drive its way down the country. I know we just got done with one of them. Now, the good news is here for like today and tomorrow, for the most part, we're going to be warming up a little bit here. Mostly today, as you can see here, right around the afternoon, we're going to be getting pretty warm, per se, not super warm, but we're going to be getting warmer than normal than we have been for the last couple of days across portions like the Central Plains and areas out there by the southeast. Still very, very cold across the north, but I hate to tell you guys this, but as we approach our way out there towards portions like the 20th here, we're going to be seeing another round of some seriously cold temperatures out there by like the Midwest, portions out there by the Central Plains. Could be getting down into the -20s. At worst, I'd say -30s. Obviously, the freezing line being well down there towards the Gulf Coast yet again. So more freezing could be a big issue for these regions. And you can see how, portions out there by the Mid-Atlantic could see single digits. Northeast here could see single digits as well. It wouldn't be surprising if some areas did break the negatives up in the Northeast as well. Could be a possibility. Now, remember, this is one model, obviously. So, this is not 100% going to line up to whenever this actually does approach here. But But I just wanted to mention this because, you know, we are expecting another round of Arctic air. But the good news is that after this happens, things will start warming back up again for the good for a while, which will definitely be good. And obviously, any further than we're looking right now is not really acceptable on the models. So it looks like, you know, there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, I should say. But it's going to be a little cold here for a while. It looks like things will start warming really back up here for the 22nd. So got a couple more days of cold, my friend, and then things will start turning back to normal. All right, you guys. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. If you guys did enjoy it, once again, please consider leaving a like and most importantly, hitting that subscribe button, guys. It'd be greatly appreciated. If you guys have made it to this point of the video, comment down bottle cap. That way I know who my true supporters are. And if you guys are still watching, it'd be greatly appreciated. Once again, everybody, we love y'all. Please be safe out there. Like I said, I know a lot of winter weather is going to be impacting these regions here. Tonight, we're going to do another live stream. Sometime this afternoon, sometime this evening. I'm thinking probably around 6, 7 o'clock. We're going to do a live stream tonight to do more updates here on this system. Overall, we'll get new model runs coming in. So we'll do a live stream tonight on a live weather update, my friends. But all right, y'all. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And all right, guys, we'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. Catch you later.